Michael Jackson stood on stage at 8 years old, his small feet moving to rhythms most adults couldn't master. The spotlight found him in smoky clubs where children shouldn't be, performing until dawn while other kids slept peacefully in their beds. His father Joe watched from the wings, arms crossed, eyes sharp as knives. One wrong step meant punishment. One missed note meant shame. The Jackson 5 became a sensation, and Michael became their shining star. But behind the dazzling smile and perfect dance moves lived a terrified child who understood only one truth: perfection was survival. There were no lazy Saturday mornings, no playground adventures, no time to be young. While his brothers laughed and joked, Michael carried the weight of the family's dreams on his narrow shoulders. The other children at school whispered about him, pointed at him, treated him like a creature from another planet. He wanted friends, wanted normalcy, wanted someone to see him as just Michael. Instead, he got fame, fortune, and a childhood stolen piece by piece. His mother Catherine offered warmth when she could, but even her love couldn't shield him from the relentless machine of success. At night, Michael would stare at his reflection and wonder who he really was beneath the performer everyone demanded him to be. The mirror showed a boy with sad eyes, a boy who sang about love and joy while knowing little of either. His voice brought happiness to millions, yet his own happiness remained a distant dream, something other people got to have. The stage became his prison and his refuge, the only place where the pain made sense. By his 20s, Michael Jackson had conquered the world. Thriller became the biggest album in history, selling over 100 million copies. His moonwalk defied gravity, his music videos revolutionized the industry, and his concerts drew crowds so massive they seemed endless. He was royalty, crowned the king of pop, worshipped by fans who screamed his name until their voices broke. Yet Michael walked through his mansion in the dead of night, room after empty room echoing with silence. He had everything money could buy and nothing his heart truly needed. The press followed him everywhere, cameras flashing like lightning strikes, capturing every moment, every flaw, every perceived mistake. They called him strange, eccentric, weird. They mocked his changing appearance, created cruel nicknames, turned his pain into entertainment. Michael read every word, felt every cut. He tried to explain himself, tried to show the world his gentle soul, but they only wanted the spectacle. So he built Neverland Ranch, a private paradise where he could finally play the childhood games he never got to enjoy. He filled it with rides and animals and laughter, inviting children who were sick or struggling, wanting to give them the magic he never had. Critics twisted his kindness into something sinister, and Michael felt the walls closing in. His family, once his foundation, became complicated. Some wanted his money, others his influence. He couldn't tell who loved Michael and who loved the fame he brought. Betrayal came from those closest to him, sharp and unexpected. He poured his loneliness into his music, creating songs that touched millions while he remained untouched, unreached. At awards shows, he smiled and waved, gave gracious speeches, thanked his fans. Then he went home alone, wondering if anyone truly saw him. Michael's face became a battleground for public opinion. Every surgery, every change sparked new headlines, new jokes, new cruelty. People forgot he was human, forgot that words could wound. They analyzed his skin, his nose, his hair, treating his body like public property open for discussion and ridicule. Michael suffered from vitiligo, a condition that destroyed the pigment in his skin, leaving patches of white spreading across his body. He tried to cover it with makeup, tried to even out the discoloration, but people accused him of betraying his race, of wanting to be white. The accusations shattered him. He loved his heritage, loved his culture, but the disease didn't care about love. The plastic surgeries became an obsession, a desperate attempt to control something in a life that felt increasingly out of control. He looked in the mirror and saw imperfection, saw the face his father had mocked, saw features he wanted to erase. Each surgery promised relief but delivered only more scrutiny. His health deteriorated under the pressure. Insomnia plagued him, sleep becoming an enemy he fought nightly. He turned to medication, to doctors who promised rest, promised peace. The pills piled up, each one a temporary escape from the overwhelming weight of existence. Performing became both his salvation and his curse. On stage, he transformed into something pure, something untouchable. The music flowed through him like electricity, and for those precious hours, he felt alive, felt purposeful. But the moment the lights dimmed, reality crashed back. He was just Michael again, fragile and frightened, desperately seeking rest that never came. Friends worried, but Michael assured them he was fine, always fine. He had become an expert at hiding pain behind smiles. Then came the accusations that nearly destroyed him completely. In 1993, A young boy claimed Michael had abused him, and the world erupted in judgment. Michael, who had dedicated himself to helping children, who saw in their innocence his own lost youth, stood accused of the most heinous crimes imaginable. The investigation consumed him, turned his sanctuary into a crime scene, his kindness into evidence of guilt. He maintained his innocence, proclaimed it desperately, but the damage was done. Sponsors dropped him, radio stations stopped playing his music, and the public divided into camps of believers and condemners. The stress broke something fundamental inside him. He settled the case out of court, advised by lawyers who feared a trial would destroy what remained of his career. But settling made him look guilty to many, and Michael realized he couldn't win. Years later, more accusations came. This time he fought back, demanding his day in court. The trial became a media circus, reporters camping outside the courthouse, helicopters following his car, every detail broadcast worldwide. Michael appeared in court wearing pajamas one day, his back in agony from an accident, and the world mocked him for it. When the jury returned with not guilty verdicts on all counts, Michael felt no relief, only exhaustion. The accusations had poisoned everything he loved. Children's hospitals no longer wanted his visits, charities distanced themselves, and the innocent joy he tried to preserve turned toxic. He couldn't understand how his love for children, pure and protective, had been so thoroughly twisted. The boy who never got to play had tried to give other children the magic he'd missed, and the world had crucified him for it. His music suffered, his spirit crumbled, and the light that once shone so brightly began to flicker and fade. By 2009, Michael Jackson was a shadow of the king he'd been. Financial troubles mounted, Neverland was gone, and his body ached from decades of dancing through pain. He agreed to a comeback tour in London, 50 shows that would prove he still had magic, still had worth. He needed the money, needed the validation, needed to show the world one last time what he could do. But his body was failing, running on willpower and medication, a machine breaking down after too many years without proper rest. Rehearsals were grueling, pushing him to limits he could no longer reach. He couldn't sleep, couldn't eat, couldn't stop the anxiety that consumed him. Dr. Conrad Murray administered propofol, a powerful anesthetic used in hospitals, giving Michael the sleep he desperately craved. It was dangerous, reckless, but Michael was beyond caring about danger. He just wanted peace, wanted rest, wanted the noise in his head to finally stop. On June 25, 2009, Michael Jackson died in his bedroom at 50 years old. The propofol stopped his heart, and the world lost its most extraordinary performer. The news spread like wildfire, shocking even those who had criticized him most harshly. Suddenly everyone remembered his genius, his generosity, his contributions to music and humanitarian causes. The cruelty was forgotten, replaced by grief and nostalgia. His memorial service drew millions of viewers worldwide, all mourning the man they'd once mocked. Michael's children spoke through tears about the father they loved, the gentle soul who sang them to sleep and protected them fiercely. The world finally saw what had always been true. Behind the superstar was a broken man who gave everything and received so little in return. He smiled for the world while his heart was breaking, performed through pain, and died seeking the peace that fame never allowed him to find.